There's never been a black cop in this city. We think you might be the man to open things up around here.
Okay, so for this review, you're going to see I'm going to be holding my phone just so I could get some of the actors' names. It's not because I didn't do my homework, it's simply because there's a ton of actors in this film. The film I'm talking about is the film that I mentioned earlier on when we started this video, is BLAKkKLANSMAN. This is a Spike Lee joint. For those of you who don't know who Spike Lee is a director who's been around for quite some time. A lot of his films have been not exploiting, but bringing to light stories of racism, stories of race, and the differences of how basically our culture has treated the African Americans. Spike Lee has directed brilliant films, many films over the course of his career. To name you some, he's brought us Malcolm X, Do the Right Thing, She's Gotta Go, Passover, which is coming out soon. He did Inside Man, the film starring Clive Owen, and another individual, which I can't remember his name right now. He brought us Chirac, which came out less than 3 years ago. So he has a legitimate list of films that he's an accomplished director, plain and simple, to put it that way, right? Spike Lee is an accomplished director who's done much for his community, his culture, and for the world of cinema. With that put aside, BLAKkKLANSMAN is by far, in many people's minds and in my consideration, the best film he has gone on to direct. And not quite some time, but the best film he's gone on to direct. I believe the last film I have seen of his was his remake of Old Boy, which was a complete disappointment. Not to fault on Spike Lee, but this was a film that probably should never have been remade. The Asian version was fantastic and should stay that way. So BLAKkKLANSMAN, right off the bat, I just want to tell you some of the fantastic actors that are in this film because it is truly worth checking out. Each and every single one of the actors is so believable in playing the characters that if I had the opportunity, and I probably will sometime down the road, I will rewatch this film because it was so good. Each one gave a performance that was believable and almost true to life. This is based on a true story. The story that it is based on is based off the story of one man whose name happens to be Ron Stallworth, who infiltrates the KKK. Now, Ron Stallworth is an African American. Now, ask yourself, how does an African American infiltrate the KKK? How does he become a part of a group of people who happen to hate that very culture, that very race? Well, that's what makes this story quite funny, and at the same time, that's what makes this story quite scary. It is in the same way as Get Out was to the horror genre and to dealing with racism. BLAKkKLANSMAN almost deals with it in that same kind of way, but at the same time that when you feel like something is supposed to be funny for some reason, it tickles you the wrong way. To the point where you're starting to see and you're starting to understand that, like, not understand, that's the wrong word to use. It tickles you in a way where it's disgusting. It's disgusting to see the way that the African American community, or just in general, how we have dealt with race over the years. At the end of the day, and I'm a firm believer, and this is not even a firm believer, at the end of the day, it's simple. We are all equals. I don't give a damn what color you are. I don't give a damn what kind of individual you are. I don't care what your likes are. We are all humans. We've all got our own problems. We all got our own life to deal with. So the fact that this was a problem, it still is a problem to this day. It shocks me, it saddens me, and it makes me disappointed for how we've evolved over the years, or how our lack of evolution is what I should be saying, right? Now, I don't want to get too much into race or politics. Look, I'm here to review this film, I'm here to talk about this film, so I want to just break down some of these fantastic actors that took part in BLAKkKLANSMAN. So, main actor, the individual playing Ron Stallworth, is John David Washington, son of, I was about to say George Washington, son of Denzel Washington. Now, John David Washington does one of the best performances in playing Ron Stallworth. He is probably my favorite actor. I love him in Ballers, the show starring The Rock. He plays a phenomenal character there. In this film, he is probably one of the most believable individuals. Everything that is said to him, every racist comment that is thrown towards him, everything he deals with and how he approaches a scene and how he approaches dealing with the KKK over the telephone or even when he's in front of them during one of the scenes. It is breathtaking, it is gripping, and it is believable. You are watching a masterclass actor who probably learned from a masterclass actor in his father. Outside of John David Washington, you've got the great Adam Driver. Many of you now have come to know him as the character in Star Wars. I'm sorry, I'm not a Star Wars fan, so I don't know who he plays in that film. Like, I've seen films, but I don't really know who his character is. He's the new bad guy. Basically, he's the new Darth Vader of the Star Wars franchise. So Adam Driver, he's been in multiple other films outside of Star Wars. He is another one of those guys who is a character actor. What he does with the source material. See, Adam Driver's character is the, I guess you call it the double of Ron Stallworth. Because when Ron Stallworth infiltrates the KKK, he obviously can't go to the KKK and be like, hey guys, I want to join your group. Because they're not going to let an African-American man join, right? So Ron Stallworth, played by Adam Driver, played by, technically, John David Washington. I know, it kind of got confusing, but it's really not that confusing. Adam Driver just plays Ron Stallworth the second. He basically just goes undercover for John David Washington's character to infiltrate the KKK and get the information needed in order for the police to do their job. It also stars the fantastic Laura Harrier. I probably pronounced her name wrong, but she does a fantastic job of playing the president of the movement of the African American movement, who is trying to get the people to understand that this is not correct the way you've been treating us over the last.
That it is time for you to stop running away from being black. It is time for you to stop running away from being black. You're college students, right?
Right on.
You should think. It is time for you to understand that you, as the growing intellectuals of this country, that you must define beauty for black people. Now that's black power.
The guy who probably had the toughest job in this whole film is probably Topher Grace. He had the toughest task of playing David Duke. For those of you who don't know who David Duke is, I want you to Google him. David Duke was on television, I think less than a year ago, for what occurred in Charlottesville. All right, he is the founder or president of the organization, as they call it. Basically, he is the president of the KKK. And that's no easy task to play this role. Just as in Django was no easy task for anybody to play a racist, right? But to play David Duke, to play an actual real-life character who still exists to this day, who is still a firm believer, who is still firmly against the African-American community, that is, it's a task. And it is something that is beautiful to see Topher Grace, because I remember from that 70s show, I remember him portraying Venom in that horrible Spider-Man 3 movie, but to see Topher Grace finally get a source material, to finally get some material where he could sink his teeth in and he chews up the scenery that he's in. He is gullible, he is hilarious when he's not supposed to be, he hits the nail on the head when he's supposed to be stupid, and he is automatic, and he is truly terrifying when he needs to be. Alec Baldwin makes a brief appearance at the beginning of the film playing a Trump-like character. This is no stranger to Alec Baldwin's work on Saturday Night Live. He always plays a Trump-like character. He's basically played Trump on Saturday Night Live. So Alec Baldwin does a fantastic job at the beginning of the film. He gives a monologue of epic proportions, which once the film starts off and you hear this monologue, you are synced in. You are ready to see what's going to come at you, because it is disgusting. The words he says, it has you glued to the screen for what you're witnessing. Alec Baldwin is basically a phenomenal actor. I can't say any more than that he is a phenomenal actor. This film also stars, and I want to bring this man's name up because he does a fantastic job at doing this. He played Dr. Dre's character in Straight Outta Compton. Corey Hawkins has a show-stealing monologue. And it was at this point that this film had me right off the bat. he goes on to describe of how the white supremacists, or basically how the white community have deemed the African community, have deemed all other races disgusting, as monkeys, as animals, as basically not equals, is what he's gone on to say. But he spins a bit, but the way that the story is being told and the way he talks, and not the story, but the monologue that he gives, it tells you and it makes you understand that it is true that what has occurred over the years is the fact that we made them believe, not we, not me, not anyone that I'm connected with, or the people that I know or that I spend my time with, but just how over the years, back in 1970 to even to this day, the KKK, how they want to make the African American community, how they want to make all the other races feel like they are not equals, like they are different, that they don't belong, that there is something wrong with them. And this train of thought and this idea, it stays with you and it grows on you. It's like a virus, it's like a disease that you just can't get rid of. Because the more someone tells you something, the more you start to believe it. And that is the case in what has occurred over the years. And that is what happens in this monologue. And to hear this and to honestly finally get an understanding. And to some people, this will be a wake-up call. To me, this was the first time I've ever heard this told in this way, and it made me realize that it is true. We put things in people's minds, in people's heads, and make them believe a story that is not true. And I'm not just talking about race, I'm talking about everyday life. People will tell you you're not good at something. People will tell you you shouldn't do this or shouldn't do that, or you can't do this or you can't do that. But they are just putting these ideas that were not in your head to begin with, but now they are, because someone seems to believe that we should not be able to, or we are not able to, or this is wrong, or this is disgusting. Spike Lee does this throughout the majority of the film. There are multiple monologues, not just from the movement, not just from the African American communities, not just from John David Washington's character, not just from multiple characters. There's also monologues that come from the Klansmen. Just to give you a perspective, this film, and now I'm getting back on the topic of the film, because like I said, I went way too off topic in discussing the political notions of what this film was trying to get across and the messages. Because there's a lot of messages being spread throughout this film, and a lot of important messages. This is the kind of film that you want to watch and take in on multiple viewings to get a true appreciation for it. This is unlike the majority of the other films that you have seen over the past few years dealing with race. This is something unlike it. This tries to bring in a comedic style, while at the same time, as I said, a feeling of disgust, almost for finding this funny or for laughing at it, because you're not supposed to. And to be honest, I didn't really laugh at much of this film. A lot of the times where the characters were laughing, I was kind of in disgust and disappointed that this was accepted and this was appropriate at the time, or considered appropriate. But like I said, I want to get back on the topic. You see, Spike Lee doesn't just solely focus on one side of the conversation. He brings the conversation full circle by including the Klansmen. The film is 50-50 and equal spreading, where you've got John David's character dealing with what is going on in his life and what it is like to be an African American, and how he deals with even being a police officer, how he deals with race on a daily basis, on how he deals with race, how race affects him and his girlfriend, how race has affected him and his family. And on the other side, we've got the Klansmen, where Spike Lee focuses on what is their dislike for these people, and what is their dislike for this race. Why do they have a problem with them? So Spike Lee focuses on both notions, the KKK and what it is like to be a black man in America at this point in the 1970s. He presents it in a way where his filming is simplistic. You get all of it. There's no quick cuts. You get to see the emotions. You get to feel what is going on. You get to feel the weight that is on their shoulders as they're trying to achieve equal rights, as they're trying to fight for their survival. Once again, I did say I was not going to get into politics, but I just keep getting into the race conversation. Solely focused on this film right off the bat, 9 on 10. I'm going to be honest with you, it's the best film of the year. It has everything that you're looking for. It's got drama, it's got romance, it's got occasional action, but you're not really there for the action because you don't want to see any one of them get injured. So, well, unless you want to see the rednecks get hurt and murdered, then that's a different story. Which at this point in the film, as you go through it, you kind of hope they do get hurt, but there is not much of that. There is a few action sequences and explosion, but that's about it. I know it made it seem like there's a lot going on, but there really isn't. The film is really just about its story, what's going on in the world, what has gone on since the 1970s to today, and how we're dealing with it, or how we've uncorrectly dealt with it. That's not the correct term of how to put it, but let's face facts, it's the honest truth. We've still have yet to learn how to accept everyone as equals because we find our differences for some reason. This is Spike Lee's tour de force. He brings the best of the best that he has to offer, and when I mean the best of the best, we're talking back to the days where he did Malcolm X, Do the Right Thing, and Chirac. These are some of his top films, not including Inside Man and the most recent ones that have come out. This is him at work. He got a standing ovation at the Cannes Film Festival. He went on to win the grand prize, the Grand Prix of the Cannes Film Festival. That is an achievement that is unlike anything else that you could honestly, well, outside of the Academy Awards, this is considered the award to win, and it puts you on the map. Now, necessarily, he does not need to be put on the map because he is Spike Lee, and we've all seen most of his films by this point. Once again, friends, I want to thank you all for watching, for taking the time out of your busy day. I hope I didn't ramble on for too long. I do suggest checking out the BLAKkKLANSMAN. Mile 22, I'd probably say stay away from that. That is a piece of shit film. I'm not even going to lie to you. But the BLAKkKLANSMAN, it is a must-watch, 9 on 10. Ladies and gentlemen, that is Jay at the Movies. Subscribe. All my links are at the bottom. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. They're all there to check out. BLAKkKLANSMAN is still in theaters, soon to be out on DVD and Blu Ray, so be sure to check that out, and every single streaming service that is possibly available to date. That is it for today. Have a happy Halloween, have a happy weekend. I'll see you next week. Peace.